Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Linda Parker, urologist and senior health specialist, and today I want to talk to you about something that almost nobody warns you about, yet it's affecting millions of people quietly every night. For years, many adults over 60 have been told that if they can't sleep, the simple answer is a pill. A small tablet at night, a PM capsule, a few drops, something soft to calm the nerves. The message has been, if it helps you sleep, it must be good for you. But the reality is very different. What many people don't realize is that several of the most common sleep medications used after 60 don't just make you drowsy. They can slowly cloud your thinking, erase memories, increase confusion, and in some cases push the brain toward a decline that looks like accelerated aging. That's what we're going to uncover together today. 6 types of sleep medications that, used regularly after 60, can quietly sabotage your memory and mental clarity. My goal is not to scare you, but to open your eyes so that you can have informed conversations with your doctor and explore safer ways to rest, without sacrificing your mind in the process. If you are over 60 or you love someone who is, you probably know exactly how this story begins. Nights that used to be simple become complicated. You fall asleep in front of the TV but wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, unable to get back to sleep. You lie there thinking about family, finances, health, the future. You look at the clock and think, if I don't sleep now, tomorrow I'll be useless. Eventually, someone suggests a pill. A friend gives you one just to try. The doctor writes a prescription for a little while. Or you walk into the pharmacy and see a shelf full of nighttime products that promise deep sleep. At first, it seems like magic. You take something and you sleep more. But over time, something changes. You start to feel slower during the day. Names slip away. You walk into a room and forget why. Simple tasks require more effort. You misplace your keys, you lose the thread of conversations, and you start telling yourself it's just age. Yet in many cases, what's draining your memory is not age alone. It's the chemistry of those pills interacting with an older brain that is far more sensitive than it was at 40. To understand why these medications are so problematic after 60, you need to know a basic fact about the aging brain and body. With age, our nervous system becomes more fragile. Our liver and kidneys process drugs more slowly, and the protective filters that regulate what enters the brain become less selective. That means that the same dose of a medication that a 30-year-old tolerates without problem can linger in the body of a 70-year-old, staying in the brain for many more hours, intensifying effects like drowsiness, confusion, and memory gaps. On top of that, many of these drugs directly interfere with the chemical messengers that your brain uses for memory and attention. So while they give you the sensation of sleep, they can be literally turning down the volume on the circuits that help you think clearly and store new memories. Sleep medications are powerful tools, and in certain specific situations they can be useful for short periods. But long-term, constant use after 60 turns them into silent thieves of mental clarity. The first group of sleep medications that I want you to be very cautious with are the classic anxiety and sleep pills known as benzodiazepines. Even if you don't recognize the name of the group, you may know some of their members. Pills prescribed for nerves, for panic, or to help you sleep, that act quickly to relax you and make you drowsy. These medications amplify the effect of a calming neurotransmitter in the brain, which is why they feel so effective at first. Worry decreases, muscles relax, eyelids get heavy. The problem is that in the brain of someone over 60, that calming effect can easily turn into something much more dangerous. Slowed thinking, disorientation, and, over time, significant memory problems. People start to notice that they can't remember what they did the day before. Conversations disappear. Recent events fade. On top of that, these drugs create tolerance and dependence. That means you need more to get the same effect, and if you try to stop suddenly, your brain can rebound with worse anxiety and insomnia than before. This traps many older adults in a cycle. They sleep only if they take the pill, but the pill is slowly stealing clarity from them. After 60, benzodiazepines should almost never be the long-term answer to insomnia. If you are taking something from this family regularly, it's essential not to stop abruptly, but to talk with your doctor about a gradual and supervised reduction plan. The key idea is simple. If a pill makes you sleep but gradually erases your sharpness, it is not a good trade for your future. The second group you need to know about are the so-called Z drugs, newer sleeping pills that were once marketed as safer, more selective options. They have names that often start with certain letters and are prescribed specifically for sleep. They work on similar brain receptors as benzodiazepines, producing a strong sedative effect and helping you fall asleep faster. For a while, the narrative was that they were less risky. But what we have observed in older adults tells another story. Many people taking these drugs after 60 experience episodes of nighttime confusion, sleepwalking, doing things in the middle of the night that they don't remember the next day, and waking with a heavy mental fog that lasts into the morning. That fog is not harmless. It means your brain is still under the influence of the drug when you get out of bed, make breakfast, walk downstairs, or drive. The combination of slowed reaction time and blurred thinking increases falls, car accidents, and small but cumulative injuries to the brain. Over months and years, this chronic interference with natural sleep and brain function can contribute to a noticeable decline in memory and executive function. In other words, Z drugs do not give you true healthy sleep. They give you a chemically induced state that looks like sleep, but does not nourish your brain the way natural sleep does. The third type of sleep medication that silently attacks memory after 60 are older antihistamines with strong sedative and so-called anticholinergic effects. These are often found in PM versions of pain relievers and in certain over-the-counter allergy or cold remedies. Many people consider them harmless because you can buy them without a prescription. In reality, for the aging brain, they can be some of the worst offenders. These antihistamines don't only make you sleepy, they also block acetylcholine, one of the key neurotransmitters involved in learning and memory. Older adults already tend to have lower acetylcholine activity. When you add a nightly dose of a strong anticholinergic, you are effectively turning down a crucial memory system every night. The consequences include next-day mental fog, difficulty learning new information, confusion in unfamiliar environments, and higher risk of episodes of delirium during illness or hospitalization. In addition, they often cause dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, urinary retention, and balance problems. That might sound like a minor inconvenience, but in an older person, not emptying the bladder well and losing balance can lead to infections, falls, and fractures. These so-called simple night pills can therefore create a vicious cycle. They help you sleep a bit, but they worsen your memory, your stability, your bladder function, and your independence. The fourth group involves certain antidepressants with strong sedative and anticholinergic effects that many doctors prescribe at night to help with sleep and mood. Some of these medications were originally designed for depression and pain, but at low doses they make people drowsy. That has led to widespread off-label use for insomnia, especially in older adults. The problem is that, once again, they interfere with brain chemicals essential for memory and concentration, and they can significantly lower blood pressure when you stand up, causing dizziness and falls. Many of my patients describe it this way. I sleep a little better, but I wake up in the morning with a heavy head, a dry mouth, and I feel like my thoughts move in slow motion. That slow motion is not just a sensation, it reflects real changes in how fast your brain can process information. Over time, This constant nighttime sedation can flatten your mental energy, reduce your curiosity, and make it harder to learn or adapt to new situations. In a younger adult, the brain might compensate, but after 60, the margin of safety is smaller. Using these medications as a chronic, first-line strategy for sleep is rarely a good idea for the brain. The fifth category of sleep medications that can undermine memory after 60 are antipsychotic drugs used off-label purely for insomnia or to calm older adults. These medications were designed for serious psychiatric conditions, but are sometimes given at very low doses at night to help with sleep. In many older patients, especially those who already have some degree of cognitive decline, these drugs can worsen confusion, dull thinking, and increase the risk of strokes and abnormal muscle movements. They can also contribute to weight gain, blood sugar problems, and heart rhythm changes, which further impact brain health. What worries me most is that they are sometimes used simply because a person is restless, awake at night, or difficult to manage, instead of addressing the true causes of the sleep problem: pain, need to go to the bathroom, anxiety, loneliness, or poor sleep habits. Sedating someone into passivity is not the same as giving them restorative sleep. In an older brain, that kind of sedation often comes with a high price in terms of memory, independence, and dignity. The sixth sleep med on this list is not a single drug, but a pattern: the cocktail of multiple sedating substances combined at night. Maybe you recognize this scenario: a prescription pill for sleep, plus a PM pain reliever, plus a small glass of alcohol to relax, and sometimes even a herbal capsule that also sedates. Each one of these by itself might already affect memory. Together, they amplify each other's effects and can profoundly depress brain activity and breathing. The result is not deep, restorative sleep, but a kind of chemical knockout that fragments natural sleep cycles, reduces time in deep and REM sleep, and leaves you with a tired, irritable brain the next day. From the perspective of memory, this cocktail is devastating. The brain needs high-quality slow-wave sleep and healthy REM cycles to process the experiences of the day, file important memories, discard the unimportant, and maintain emotional balance. When that architecture is repeatedly distorted by multiple drugs and alcohol, the brain's nightly cleaning and organizing process is disrupted. You may not remember it, but your neurons do. Over months and years, this disturbed internal world is reflected in more forgetfulness, less mental agility, less patience, and more emotional instability. Now that you know the 6 major categories, it's important to highlight something crucial. None of these medications are evil in themselves. In certain acute situations, under strict supervision, they can be useful tools. For example, a short course after a major loss, during a severe episode of anxiety, or while recovering from surgery. The real danger lies in chronic, nightly use after 60 without reevaluation, without exploring alternatives, and without considering the particular vulnerabilities of the aging brain. Many people have been on these pills for 10 or 20 years, always assuming that, if the doctor prescribed it, it must be safe. But prescribing habits often lag behind the latest knowledge about how these drugs affect older adults. That's why your role as an informed patient is so important. You have every right to ask your doctor, is this still the best option for me at my age? Is there a way to reduce the dose? Are there safer alternatives? Let's talk about what you can do if you recognize yourself or a loved one in any of these categories. The first rule is simple and non-negotiable. Never stop these medications abruptly on your own, especially benzodiazepines, Z-drugs, or certain antidepressants. Stopping them suddenly can trigger rebound insomnia, intense anxiety, or other withdrawal symptoms that are very uncomfortable and, in some cases, risky. Any change must be done gradually and under medical supervision. What you can do right now, however, is start a conversation. Make a list of everything you take to sleep: prescription pills, over-the-counter products, teas, drops, and alcohol. Many people are surprised when they see it all on one page. Then take that list to your doctor and ask a very clear question. Which of these are really necessary, and which could we slowly reduce or replace with safer strategies? You might also ask, is any of this medication known to affect memory or increase confusion in older adults? A good doctor will take that question seriously, will review doses, and will propose a step-by-step plan. At the same time, it's essential to build new foundations for healthy sleep that don't depend on drugs. Natural sleep is a process that begins long before you close your eyes. The brain needs signals from light, movement, and routine to know when it's time to rest. One of the simplest and most powerful habits is getting exposure to natural light early in the day. A 15 to 20-minute walk in the morning, even with gentle movement, tells your internal clock, "We are awake now," and helps it program the right time to feel sleepy at night. Another key pillar is regularity. Going to bed and getting up at the same time every day, including weekends, creates a stable rhythm for your nervous system. The brain loves predictability. Also, pay attention to stimulants. Caffeine after mid-afternoon, heavy dinners late at night, and screens close to your face in the last hour of the day all send the wrong signals. If you're scrolling through your phone in bed, your brain thinks it needs to stay alert and engaged. Equally important is what happens in the last hour before sleep. Instead of watching intense news or arguing on the phone, create a simple ritual that your brain associates with rest. A warm shower, quiet music, deep breathing exercises, stretching, reading something light. One technique I like is the worry notebook. Before bed, you sit down for 5 minutes and write all the things that are turning in your head. Then you close the notebook and tell yourself, "This will wait for tomorrow." You are training your brain to put problems in a mental drawer, at least for the night. These seemingly small habits, repeated consistently, can have as much impact on sleep as any pill, without damaging your memory. Some people may also benefit from certain gentle natural supports, always discussed beforehand with a healthcare professional. For example, low-dose melatonin used at the right time can help regulate the sleep-wake cycle in some older adults. Certain forms of magnesium, combined with relaxation, can support muscle comfort and help the body ease into rest. Nutrients like glycine or natural plant extracts, traditionally used for calm and sleep, can be part of a broader strategy, especially when you are working on reducing stronger medications. The key is not to simply replace one sedating pill with another, but to build a comprehensive approach. Light, movement, routine, emotional support, and, only if needed, carefully chosen natural aids that respect the delicate balance of the aging brain. To make this more real, let me share 2 brief stories that mirror what I see often in my practice. One of my patients, let's call him Robert, was 72 and had been taking an over-the-counter PM pill every night for more than 8 years. He thought it was harmless because he didn't need a prescription. Over the last 2 years, his family noticed that he repeated questions, confused appointments, and felt unsteady when walking. They were worried that he was developing early dementia. When we reviewed his medications, that nighttime pill appeared as a red flag. Over several months, working closely with his primary doctor, we reduced it very gradually while building a strong sleep routine, morning walks, strict caffeine limits, relaxation exercises at night. At first, his sleep was more fragmented, but with patience and support, it improved. 6 months later, his memory was not perfect. Aging is still aging. But he was clearer, less confused, and his gait was more stable. The pill had not been the only cause, but removing that constant nightly anticholinergic burden gave his brain room to function better. Another patient, whom I'll call Elena, was 68 and had been taking a benzodiazepine for sleep since her 50s. She insisted, "Without this, I don't sleep at all." She also complained that she could no longer remember stories from books she read, forgot what she wanted to buy at the market, and felt disconnected from conversations. She assumed it was just normal aging. We spoke honestly about the impact of long-term use of that medication on memory after 60. She decided to try a supervised taper plan with her doctor, combined with therapy to address underlying anxiety and a very structured sleep routine. It wasn't easy. There were nights of light sleep and days of irritability, but with gradual reductions over months, she finally reached a very low dose and then stopped. About 2 months after her last pill, she told me something that I will never forget. "It's like someone cleaned the windows in my brain." Her memory for conversations improved, her curiosity returned, and she felt more present in her own life. The difference wasn't magical, but it was significant enough that she said, "I wish someone had told me this 10 years ago." That is precisely why I'm sharing this with you today. After 60, protecting your memory is just as important as protecting your heart or your joints. The sleep medications we've talked about can be helpful tools when used carefully and for short periods, but they become dangerous when they are the default solution, used every night for years without questioning. The single most important message I want you to remember is this: if a sleep medication gives you rest at the cost of your memory, your clarity, and your independence, it is too high a price to pay. Your brain deserves better. It is never too late to reassess what you are taking, to talk honestly with your doctor, and to build healthier habits that support both sleep and brain health. Even after 60, 70, or 80, the brain retains a remarkable capacity to recover when we remove what harms it and give it what it needs: quality sleep, oxygen, movement, nutrients, and emotional connection. If as you listen to this, you thought of your own pills, or of a parent, a partner, or a friend, take this as an invitation to reflect and to act. Make a list, ask questions, and don't be afraid to seek a second opinion if you feel your concerns about memory are not being taken seriously. You are the one who lives inside your mind. You know when something is not right. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to continue this conversation. Talk about it with your family. Ask older relatives what they take at night, and share this information with anyone who might be quietly struggling with sleep and memory. And if you'd like to keep receiving guidance like this on healthy aging, vitality, and brain protection, I'd be honored to have you subscribe and stay connected. Remember, good sleep should nourish your memory, not erase it.